I'm Tegan and welcome to my channel. So today I just wanted to talk to you guys about how we came to the decision to homeschool. Particularly in Australia, homeschooling seems to be quite a regular thing in America, but in Australia it's still quite unusual. Not a lot of people do it. I mean, there are still a lot. We've found a great group of homeschoolers here in Canberra that we meet up with regularly, but it still raises eyebrows and we still get a lot of questions about what homeschooling is it legal, all those sorts of things. So how did we make the decision to homeschool? When I was pregnant with Larkin, I was studying my Masters of Primary Education. And I had been doing pracs and all of that to go along with that. I was learning all about all these amazing practices for education from Scandinavia, lots of play-based learning, lots of highly individualized learning. And at the same time as learning all of that, I was visiting classrooms where I could see how difficult it is to implement those practices in underfunded, overcrowded classrooms. And that is in no way teachers' faults in Australia. I have so much respect and admiration for teachers. They do a really, really difficult job in really difficult circumstances. They do not get the credit that they deserve, and they do not get the support they deserve. So the more I was seeing this, the more I was realizing that it wasn't necessarily what I wanted for my children. So at the same time as studying, I was working in an after-school care program at a Steiner school. And that really interested me, the focus on art and craft and working on children discovering who they are as a whole person through their education was something that I thought was very aspirational. So for a while there, my husband and I were talking about either sending my kids to the local Steiner school here or to there's a school here called the Blue Gum Community School in Canberra, which is founded on concepts of Reggio Emilio education. So yeah, that's what we were talking about for a long time, was putting the money aside to send them to an alternative private education. And then the more we realized that we wanted more children, the more the cost of a private education was overwhelming and becoming more apparent that it was something that was not ideal for our situation. And by our situation, I mean that I have some sleep disorders, which makes it very difficult for me to work full time. So if I was working, I would be working part-time, and my contribution to the finances would not be near enough to what we would need to comfortably send multiple children through a private education from K to 12. So that's when I had a look. I went on YouTube and I typed in homeschooling and I started looking at different channels. And the more I looked, the more I felt drawn to do this, the more that I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want for my children. So I talked to my husband about it and he agreed. Both of us did well in school, but I think we both felt that we did a lot of our best learning outside of a classroom. Both of us had some learning difficulties that made it difficult for us to concentrate in classrooms. So yeah, we decided that that was what we were going to do. That was about 3 years ago we made that decision. And now Larkin is 4, he's going into pre-K, and we are starting with a very, very gentle introduction into homeschooling for him this year. So we decided if we were going to spend all that money on private education, why not spend a fraction of that money at home and be able to free up those resources to travel, to do extracurriculars, to do sport, for them to be able to find out what their passions are and pursue that with as much support as we can throw at them. That is why we have decided to homeschool. Now, I just wanted to have a little segment on things that weren't a consideration in us homeschooling. This is something that we get a lot in Australia. And again, I think it's just because not a lot of people in Australia homeschool, even though it is getting more popular. We get a lot of people with misconceptions about why we as a family would choose to homeschool. So, things that were not a consideration. Religion. My husband and I are not religious. Our family within our household is secular. We explore other people's cultures. We do not have any religious affiliations ourselves. It's not a consideration for us, and it is not one of the reasons why we decided to homeschool. We did not choose to homeschool to shelter our kids. We have absolutely no problem with any of the programs in schools that people assume that we have problems with when we say that we are homeschooling. Safe schools, all of that. Brilliant, 100% support. Should be more of it. Those particular things are two of the misconceptions that we get the most often. Oh, you're homeschooling. You know, it must have been a religious decision, or we must have some sort of problem with certain programs that are run in schools. And we just don't. Hopefully the next video you'll be seeing on this channel will be a curriculum overview of everything that we will be doing with Larkin next year. That is what I hopefully have planned to have up next. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe. That would be great. I'm really enjoying making these videos so far. First one out the gate. It's pretty fun, so I'd love to be able to keep doing this with your support. So that would be great. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.